Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. And we'll ask Commissioner Domenick to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Looks like everybody's here. Okay. Welcome to the October meeting of the Lackawanna County Prison Board. I trust everybody's had an opportunity. Can you hear this? Okay. Had an opportunity to review the minutes, which were circulated in advance of today's meeting. And if so, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as prepared from the September 20. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Anybody from the public wish to address the board on agenda items? Okay, I see no one, so we'll move on to the motions that are on the agenda. The first motion to approve all the current payables for the prison and the Community Corrections Center. Again, they were circulated prior to today's meeting, and I trust everybody's had an opportunity to review them. If so, I'll entertain a motion to approve all the current payables. I have a second on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The current payables are approved. Controller DiBileo.
Yes.
Your report, please.
Yes, Judge. Controller's report for the prison inmate and canteen accounts for September 2023. The Controller's Office reviewed the prison inmate and canteen account reconciliations, which were prepared by the Prison Business Office for the month of September 2023, and found no discrepancies between the reconciliations and the bank statements. The balance in the inmate account was $408,298.34 as of September 30th of 2023. The balance in the canteen checking account was $343,385.58 as of September 30th, 2023. In addition, as of September 30th, the canteen account also included a balance in the Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Trust investment accounts of $875,569.89, which is earning approximately $4,099 per month, and which will mature in January of 2024. During the month of September, $83,045.19 was paid from the canteen account for the benefit, welfare, and education of county inmates. And an itemized description of those are attached to my report. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for the controller? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve his report. So moved. Do I have a second? Second. On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. DiBileo.
You're welcome.
Next will be the Community Corrections Center. Mr. McConaughey is away this month, but we're going to hear from Deputy Warden Colleen Orzel.
Good afternoon. All right, so I have the report for September for house arrest. Program totals for adult house arrest was 194 participants. For juvenile house arrest, participants were 26. Program revenues for the month of September for adult is $62,671.96, and for juvenile is $4,680. With year-to-date total of $551,000, well, $551,088.93. Program expenses were $62,255.77. There were 38 program completions, 13 program violations, and there were 4 outstanding warrants for house arrest. Overall, the overtime was at 87%, expenses were 76%, and revenue was 82%. And that's the end of the report.
So moved.
Yeah. On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Warden Betti.
Good afternoon, members of the board. The average daily population for September was 759 inmates, 578 were county inmates, and we averaged 644 adult males, 4 juvenile males, and 110 adult females. And the average daily population of U.S. Marshal detainees was 181. Our overtime and out-of-county boarding reports are attached. The staffing update, currently our correctional officers' numbers break down to 171 full-time officers on shift, 7 out on workers' comp, no one on continuous FMLA, 68 with intermittent FMLA, no one on administrative leave, and 3 full-time vacancies for a total of 181 full-time officers. Also, a side note, our new class will be graduating next Friday, 10/27. The budget, as of 9/30, revenue was at 83%, expenses were at 76%. There were 6 extraordinary occurrences in the month of September. On 9/5, an individual was observed to have been using an object to harm herself. Our staff intervened by using OC spray, entering the cell, and placing her in the emergency restraint chair to ensure her safety. On 9/6, a newly committed individual began acting out by banging his head against the cell door in a violent manner. This individual continually claimed that he wanted to hurt himself and hurt anyone else. For the safety of everyone involved, the decision was made to place him in the emergency restraint chair. On 9/8, a newly committed individual was being non-compliant with efforts to process her while being searched. She struck an officer in the head. Staff then placed her in the emergency restraint chair for the safety of everyone involved. On 9/17, an individual, while meeting with the prison psychiatrist, began hitting her head off her cell door, and a decision was made to place her in the emergency restraint chair for her own safety. On 9/19, an individual on a suicide prevention watch covered her cell's camera and barricaded her door with her mattress. She was not compliant with a request to clean the camera lens, so staff decided to enter her cell and place her in the emergency restraint chair so the camera could be cleared. And on 9/23, an individual attempted to escape the facility by trying to pass himself off as another individual who was to be released from the facility. He had taken the wristband of this individual and was claiming to be that person. Issued wristbands do have a photo ID included on them. PREA, there were 2 PREA investigations completed in the month of September. Both were allegations of inmate-on-inmate sexual contact. One allegation was founded, and the other one was deemed unfounded, and the investigations have been forwarded to the DA's office. And this concludes my report.
Any questions for the warden? So with the new graduating class next Friday, where will that bring us in terms of?
The numbers I had reported reflect those. There's 5 people in that class.
Okay, all right, okay.
Warden, will that help with the mandatory double shift?
Yeah, because once they're on shift, they're filling slots that right now are vacant. They're in class, but once they're out of class, they'll be working on the floor itself. So that'll help in that manner.
Good.
And what's the COVID situation?
There's an uptick. We have, right now, 2 housing units that are in quarantine right now. One of our female housing units, Bravo, and one of our male units, Gulf. So we're seeing an increase in it, and it seems, at least from my perspective, that whatever variant is out there right now of COVID it's nothing like the original variant. What we're doing on the advice of our medical provider is a 5-day quarantine at this point in time. But yeah,
Inmates only?
I've had a couple staff members, but not too many. It's more the inmate population at this point in time.
Okay. Any other questions? Then I'll entertain a motion to approve the warden's report. Have a second?
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Warden.
Thank
Stick
you.
around in case we need to refer to you. Anybody from the public wish to address the board? Do you want to go first, Bev, or do you want to let Frank?
These are copies of
Want to identify yourself for the record, please?
Frank Serafini, Music, Pennsylvania. During the public comment section relative to non-agenda items of the September 20th, 2023 County Prison Board meeting, I asked a series of questions. I also handed out a written copy of those questions to all members of the board who were present. In response to my questions, I was told someone would get back to me. At the prior meeting, I stated that on September 21st, 2022, prison board meeting, a motion was made by Sheriff McAndrew and seconded by Commissioner Chermak to conduct an independent performance compliance audit of the Lackawanna County Prison's current healthcare contractor, WellPath LLC. The motion passed without objection. My questions are, was the audit conducted? And if the audit is not yet complete, are there any plans to conduct one in the future? And I would like to refer to the questions that were asked at the last meeting. In the contract between Lackawanna County and WellPath, paragraph 8-1, on page 11 of 16, it requires that WellPath provide a monthly reconciliation to the county. A few questions relating to these reconciliation reports are, has Lackawanna County received all of these monthly reconciliation reports? Has Lackawanna County reviewed and verified the accuracy of all the monthly reconciliation reports? Accordingly, the Commissioner Chermak's analysis presented in October of 2022 for the 80-week period from January 17th, 2021 through July 30th, 2022, WellPath's total hours of understaffing was 14,591.98 hours. Based on monthly reconciliations required by paragraph 8.1 of the contract, did Lackawanna County receive any credit for the understaffing that may have occurred? Beginning shortly after Commissioner Chermak presented evidence that WellPath was understaffing the medical department at the Lackawanna County Prison, to the best of my knowledge, I understand that according to public records, WellPath stopped consistently providing the staffing reports which may evidence this understaffing for the period October 19, 2022 through February 25, 2023. That's 17 weeks. It appears that WellPath failed to provide staffing reports for the Lackawanna County Prison. Subsequently, for the period June 25th, 2023 and August 26th, 2023, 9 weeks, it also appears that WellPath failed to provide staffing reports for the Lackawanna County Prison. To the best of my knowledge, based on the public records, WellPath has failed to provide a total of 6 months or 26 weeks worth of staffing reports during the period October 30th, 2022 through August 26th, 2023. I would like to know as a taxpayer, is there a reason as to why WellPath suddenly stopped providing these reports? And finally, if the information presented by Commissioner Chermak is correct, it is important that a complete independent performance audit of the Lackawanna County Prison's healthcare provider be undertaken. Thank you for allowing me to speak. You have any questions of me here?
Anybody have any questions of Mr. Serafini?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Denise Brown, Troop. Sticking with the subject of WellPath, there is a clause in the paragraph in the contract that states that WellPath shall identify any members of the jail population with medical or mental health conditions which may be worsened as a result of being incarcerated at the jail and may require extensive care while incarcerated. I'm wondering if ERC has ever referred anybody for further evaluation. It seems like monthly we hear about anywhere from 5 to 12 people being placed in the ERC, and I'm wondering if those people are really getting the psychiatric care that they probably should be getting rather than sitting in the prison. I'm also wondering how many inmates actually visit WellPath, how many see doctors. We're paying almost, well, just over $265,000 a month for this care. It's almost like we're paying for an HMO. We're paying per member per month. Are we getting services for that much money? And lastly, last month I was requesting some information regarding commissary purchase or funds used to purchase things like clothing and boots and different items like that. And I believe Judge Gibbons asked the warden to present some kind of information at this meeting, and I'm wondering if that's available.
Tim?
I believe that what I did was, didn't I forward that to the prison board members 2 days after the last prison board meeting? What was the items that were allowed to be purchased through commissary?
Well, I know that Mr. DiBileo talked about it. I don't recollect, but it's possible.
I could easily do that. I thought I did do that, so if I didn't, I apologize to everyone. I did not bring anything for this meeting.
Okay. Okay, all right. Now, with respect to some of the other matters that Ms. Brown has brought up, my recollection is in the past you've addressed that the presence of behavioral health specialists at in the intake area, and when someone has to be, that's where the ERC is, right?
The ERC, it's an emergency restraint chair.
Right.
And it's mobile. We can
Okay.
take it to wherever we need to take it to. We usually have it somewhat close nearby because the majority of our incidents occur at the time of booking an intake.
But there is coordination with the healthcare provider
Yes, yes, they're mental health.
for those incidents.
Yes, she gets
Okay.
notified of every place.
Okay.
Is she not just notified, or are these people being seen by psychiatrists and evaluated as per the contract to determine whether or not they need further psychiatric care?
I'm assuming it's a case-by-case thing. She gets notified, she follows up, she can make a reference to Dr. Malik, our psychiatrist. Most of those individuals end up on behavioral watches, so they're automatically going to be seen by the prison psychiatrist. And frankly, a lot of them are known because they do have mental health
Yeah.
issues. So they're already, if you want to call them clients of the mental health department, they're already involved with dealing with the mental health most of them. Some of them become new customers, for lack of a better term.
But there is an initial evaluation.
Thank you. And do we have any records on how many people are visiting the doctors or nurses on a monthly basis, or just, like, are we getting the most bang for our buck? We're spending a whole lot of money for what seems to be an HMO. How many individuals actually are seeing these medical health providers?
I could easily get numbers of how many individuals are getting psychotropic medications, and not everybody that we're talking about right now necessarily qualifies for that or warrants that or wants that.
I think her question is broader than that, though. She wants to know, how many inmates are being seen.
As a taxpayer, we're paying a lot of money. And there's talk in the
Irrespective
newspaper
of the
again, our
type of
taxes
treatment.
going up again. And with WellPath, there's a clause in the contract that if we renew for a year, their management fees go up another 3%. So we really need to look at making sure that we're getting the most for our money.
And we could definitely get numbers. I will write that in boldface letters, so I don't
Okay.
screw anything up there.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Bev?
Bev Deos, Scranton. Last January of this year, Judge Gibbons ordered that we provide a program for registering voters according to the law. That has been and is being fulfilled. But I want to say something about 5 years ago on January of 2018 on the same topic. It was at Martin Luther King Jr. Observance at Bethel AME Church. Like I said, 2018 January, 5 years ago, that I spoke there, and this is what I said. 3,000 years ago, the people said to the prophet Samuel, "Give us a king to govern us like other nations." Samuel prayed to the Lord, and the Lord said to Samuel, "Listen to the voice of the people. They have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from being king over them. You shall solemnly warn them and show them the ways of the king who shall reign over them." So Samuel reported all the words of the Lord to the people. He said, "Your king will take your sons and make implements of war and go into battle. He will take your sons to plow his ground and reap his harvest. He will take your daughters to be cooks and bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive orchards and give them to his courtiers." But the people refused to listen to the voice of Samuel. So through the centuries, there were kings, even to the recent year of 1776, King George of England. But then we, the people, rose up and refused to be ruled by a monarch. It took a bloody revolutionary war to achieve our independence and the freedom to govern ourselves. This freedom wasn't and isn't complete. On May of 1957, in front of the Lincoln Memorial, Martin Luther King spoke to an aspect of remedy by telling us what we could do with the power of the vote. He said, "Give us the ballot, and we will fill the legislative halls with men of goodwill. Give us the ballot, and we will place judges on benches who will do justice and love mercy. Give us the ballot, and we will place at the head of states governors who have felt not only the tang of the human, but the glow of the divine." Today, we are experiencing sickening voter suppression in many ways and places. 5 blocks north of us on this street from Bethel AME are 900 people in custody at Lackawanna County Prison. Under PA voting rights, most are eligible to vote. The jail is not a polling place, however. For them, it is the U.S. mail by way of an absentee ballot. Help is needed to implement these procedures. The work is before us. The tools are in place. May we have the will to follow the lead of the good King who God sent to us, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. I enjoyed that.
Thanks, Bev. Thanks very much. Anybody else from the public? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Can you give us your name, please?
My name is Rick Cephas. I am the president of the NAACP Lackawanna County branch, fairly new. This is our first official prison board meeting. Not only am I the president, but I am the criminal justice chairperson for the branch. Just to give you a little background as it pertains to the prison board, NAACP Criminal Justice Committee works to reform criminal justice policy and advance public safety as a civil right. And the committee's work include eliminating harsh and unfair sentencing practices, restoring and ensuring voting rights, removing barriers to employment from formerly incarcerated people, decreasing the violence, advancing voter and employment rights for the formerly incarcerated, downscaling prisons while shifting dollars and resources from prisons back to the schools, the proper treating of addiction and mental health issues, judicial discretion in sentencing, ending racial disparities at all levels of the system, and drafting new ordinances or policies that stop the, oh, never mind, that doesn't apply. And elevating the work of community members and fighting for creating a crisis team that would be separate from the police. What I'm up here asking is the NAACP also has prison chapters. And the NAACP has 42 prison branches in 16 states, and they have 9 prison chapters. A prison jail support committee would encourage employers to interview inmates while they're still incarcerated. Race and Justice, which provides policy and recommendations to the prison board to eliminate race-based discrimination in policing, courts, and incarceration. And there would be a criminal justice policy demand that calls for the criminal justice reform that ensures protection of Black lives and expansion or the creation of a possible home confinement program that would reduce the sentence of nonviolent offenders. That is just a little bit an overview of what we would like to see happen in Lackawanna County. I know when we talk about the NAACP, I know we talk a lot about the colored people, people of color, as that being a focus, but it takes all of us to make this county the way it's supposed to be. If you haven't been paying attention down in Old Forge, it just lets you know that racism and discrimination is still a thing here. So we don't ever want to get complacent thinking that it doesn't exist here in Lackawanna County. Don't ever think that it doesn't exist somewhere within your prison walls, whether it be the inmates or your staff. Don't think that they're, simply because we don't have an overwhelming amount of complaints regarding that, doesn't mean it's not happening. People just aren't speaking up. The NAACP is intended to be that voice, an advocate for those who feel that their voice isn't being heard. And within the prison, there are inmates in there that feel that their voices are not being heard and are not being taken seriously. And I think that a prison chapter within Lackawanna County Prison would give a platform to those inmates that are serious about wanting to make a change within that facility to spearhead, to say, we understand we may have done wrong, but we still have rights. That gives them a platform to stand on and a background all the way up to the national level that whatever is not being heard here will be heard there. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Anybody else from the public? I see no hands. Any members have any other business?
I do, Judge.
Okay.
As you know, we've been discussing the, doing audits of the county canteen account and inmate accounts. And the board voted to put out a request for qualifications. My office did that recently. We received 2 proposals back for auditing those accounts. And 3 members of my office, and then outside my office, the purchasing director, Joe Weschler. We opened those together on Monday and had put together a criteria of looking at them and grading those 2 proposals. The 2 proposals came from one local firm, Kohansky, accounting firm in Music, and another firm out of Pittsburgh by the name of Clifton, Larson, and Allen. 2 very nice proposals. Based on the criteria we developed, the 4 of us came up with someone who we would recommend of those 2, and it happens to be the Kohansky proposal. The pricing of it using canteen funds, so taxpayers would not be footing the bill for the auditing of those accounts. Kohansky is charging for up to 30 hours of work on the audits, $9,000. And should it go beyond 30 hours, they're listing what the hourly fees would be versus $11,200 from the Pittsburgh firm of Clifton, Larson, and Allen. So we feel Kohansky would be the firm we would recommend to the board for the auditing of those 2 accounts. That didn't make it to our agenda for today, but I'm not sure if we need to hold off till next month. Okay. So I did send out the information on the 2 proposals. If we'd like to move forward on it this month, our little committee can make a recommendation of Kohansky for the audits today, or we can wait till next month and vote on it.
Well, David says we can entertain a motion, so if you want to make a motion based on your review by your committee, I take it from your comments that you would be making a motion based on your review by your committee to engage Kohansky for the purpose of the 2 audits.
Yes, that's what our committee would do, is recommend Kohansky. So if anyone would need more time to review the proposals, that's fine. Otherwise, I make a motion that we select Kohansky accounting firm to do the audits of the canteen account and prison inmate accounts.
Okay. I'll second the motion. On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you, Board. Thank you, Judge.
thank you. So what's the next step?
Next step is we will tell the prison business office that Kohansky has been selected, and then have them provide Kohansky with any information that Kohansky needs to do the audits, and get moving forward on getting it done.
Okay. All right. Okay, very good. Any other members have any other business?
So if this audit just goes beyond the allotted 60 hours, this is the price that they're charging? Did I get that correct?
Yes. And the other firm basically gave us the same.
Yeah, I saw the ratings, they're all rated 9 and 10.
Two very good firms, very reputable. One being a little less expensive than the other, and both charging for over a certain amount of hours worked. Kohansky being the 30 hours, and I believe that the other firm was also 30 hours. Reggie, they didn't quote the hours, but they did say it would cost more. Okay.
But it's also, I recall from the beginning of this discussion, that we were going to be only looking at firms that had nothing to do with any members of the prison board. And so Kahansky doesn't have anything to do with any members of the prison board or the county?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other business? Yes, Bev?
This is a question about quarantining when COVID is in the jail. Are the people who are infected quarantined, or are the whole blocks quarantined?
The whole block, when it reaches a certain number, and that certain number is like 3.
Has,
Just one person, we can quarantine them individually, but it doesn't happen like that in the jail. When we find somebody that's positive for COVID, we quickly find 4 to 10 more people that have COVID as well.
I ask because we're not finished with the balloting registrations for this election. And if we can't get in the block, how do we reach them?
It should be lifted, the quarantine, by the end of the week, if not early next week.
Okay,
They just went into quarantine the other day.
okay, thank you, thank you.
No other business from any other members, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, yes.
Question, yeah. Liz Parsons, I just wanted to clarify, is the canteen funds then for the inmate general welfare fund paying for that audit?
Yes, it's the payment
Okay.
is coming out of those.
But Denise asked earlier if we had a list of what that account was approved to pay for. Do we have that list?
There's
We discussed it.
a list of items.
Yeah, Reggie Mariani just handed it to me.
Okay.
I don't have copies to distribute, but it's in our one policy, 01.16.01. And it lists the last page is what, a couple years back, the prison board had instructed us were permissible items, and they're mostly
Right.
repetitive.
Could we maybe read it aloud for transparency purpose? So the public has an understanding of what those funds are
Oh, sure.
approved to
The
be
overall
used?
policy is that it's limited to, expenditures that are for the benefit of the inmates, so.
Right, I guess that is sort of subject to interpretation,
Yeah,
so
I understand that.
if we could maybe just have an
If you
understanding.
want to read it, Tim, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Just so everyone knows, we have a completely dedicated policy just to the commissary proceeds and accounts. The last page of it is what I was mentioning, that a couple of years ago, the board had provided this to us to say, make this part of your policy, add it in there. So what's listed is the monthly payment to commissary supplier and consultant. At the time, we had a company called Prasis that was acting as a consultant. They're no longer with us. The monthly internet and cable TV service, monthly haircuts, monthly haircut supplies, monthly library computer service. We utilize LexisNexis. Monthly inmate supplies, vendors like Bob Barker and locally Battaglia Sporting Goods for games, sports equipment, smocks, sheets, blankets, wristbands, sweatpants, jumpsuits, trousers, shirts, women's essentials, etc. Postage for inmates with no account funds, language interpretation line service, notary expenses, bank expenditures for the cost of checks and stop payments, etc., for inmates, not for the county prison itself. Inmate reimbursements, miscellaneous expenses such as handbooks and missalettes, oils, and other religious materials. And finally, postage, meter, lease, and supplies. That's the list that's here, and that's what I'll dig that out and send it to all the members of the board via email after this meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn? So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.